Good evening, splatters, and welcome to the LAN Championship Showdown. We are live on SplatoonTourney 2, bringing you one of 5 different multi-streams. Now, what you'll see tonight is the result not only of 6 months of hard work by production staff and TOs alike, but one could say that this event truly is the culmination of nearly 10 years of a beautiful game and community that we all love and adore. My name is Sofa King, your couch surfing ride or die on the mic. And who's that over there who I'm commentating with tonight?
It is your prickly friend in a pot. Hello, my name is Cactus. So excited to be here on the mic, not only just with Sofa King, but for this incredible event. As Sofa King mentioned, this has been 6 months, 10 years in the making ever since we laid our eyes on that special trailer for Splatoon 1, or laid our eyes on the opportunity for 8 different locals to have a chance to compete and prove that they are the best local team for their state that this country has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, this event that you're seeing now may be online, but it truly is a love letter to the local scene, Cactus. Were you able to attend any of these events? Have you been able to bask in the glory of our beautiful local Splatoon scene?
Yeah, so fucking I have been able to attend Chai Shoals and of course my home turf Big Dapple, and I can tell you, as someone who was also able to compete at both of these events, I can tell you for certain that the competition was fierce this time around. Unlike anything I've seen before, I've attended every Big Dapple they have had up to date, and I've never seen so much drive, so much fire in these players' eyes to compete and have an opportunity to be here today. And I can certainly say that through many other competitors and players and spectators I've talked to, even TOs from these other events, I mean, these players brought it all with them back at those locals on those days that they were hosted, and they're going to bring it all here today.
Now, in case you're just joining us, folks, maybe you stumbled across this link on Blue Sky and are like, oh, well, let's take a look at some Splatoon. Let's explain what's going on here. This is the finale of what has been 8 full tournaments in the making. Right now, it is tough to run one of these locals. Usually you've got anywhere between 15 and 20 or more teams signing up. Each team that is here today has won a local tournament. There are no slouches among this whole bracket from seed number 1 through seed number 8. We're showing you the map now of the locations of where each of these tournaments took place. I believe the first ones were starting in like late February, and they ran all the way up until a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a long haul for some of these teams. And I mean, Cactus, you got to think that all of these teams really want the crown for such a momentous event.
Absolutely. This is a first of its kind of event in the Splatoon community, in Splatoon history. This is going to go down in the record books, and this is not your average event you see with most maybe in-person or online majors. Most of those are usually split. You have teams that will fly in for those majors that you may have heard before, like Low Tide City, Riptide, Genesis. Coming up soon this year, you have MomoCon, Get On My Level in Canada, and so many more that have happened through the years and for the future to come, or your online majors that you may have heard of. Multiple different examples like the Sendo Q major, like Super Jump, High Ink, you name it, plenty to name, plenty to call for. But this is a Worlds Collide scenario. You have teams of players that have either joined together in their own state as it is, or have flown out to those other states to compete with their friends at a chance to be here today. As you see on the screen, these are all the 8 states where these locals were held and that qualified to have a qualifier event for this online event. Again, taking 2 completely different worlds colliding together for this amazing once-in-a-lifetime event.
Now, speaking of the match that we're about to see, as you see, every match will be broadcast. Let's focus in on the one that we're about to see here on SplatoonTourney 2. Cactus, we have a budding rivalry occurring from state to state, from region to region. We are going to see, representing Sunset Surge, Prickly Pear, our number 2 seed, taking on our Houston, Texas reps, Siku got kicked out. Cactus, these two teams, they've been starting the trash talk these past few weeks.
Oh, that they have, and that has to feel due to their location, right? These teams and players are just so close to each other. As you're seeing on your screen right now, these are the players that you will have representing on each side. Again, both have fought through thick and thin to be here today at their respective locals, winning out of a large amount of teams. But yeah, the trash talk is there. Who is the best team that's going to be moving on forward in this event from their respective states on that West Coast? And without further ado, Sofa King, these players are ready. They're locked and loaded to go, and we're going to see these comps as they come rolling out.
Yeah, some interesting picks here, which I think is going to be par for the course on something like Hammerhead Zones. But we're seeing a Bamboo on one side, a Squiffer on the other. Cactus, which is your favorite amongst those two niche chargers?
I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the Squiffer. It's very rare you see those kind of weapons, and I feel that you've seen a handful of Bamboo be picked thanks to its tap shot capabilities and the amount of damage it could put on out. I also do love that we do see a Paintbrush, something you don't see that often in comp, regardless of the level of tournament it is.
Early control for Texas here. Skuwapa with a terrific bubble up front will allow their team to get into a lockup position. The Bamboo going down, giving numbers back to Texas as they'll go up 3-2 with those points ticking down, Cactus.
Arizona on the back foot. They gotta look for some advantage, not only with their specials, but also with their players. Having that numbers advantage is gonna be huge here to try to push back in. They are able to get 2 down. Pepe will fall. You will see these players going on in. Funky Eevee will get 1. Bubble close to that zone. Be able to paint it practically themselves and get that cap as they continue their splat streak. As now we have seen a complete 180. Prickly Pear now in a much more control.
And with a team as stacked as Arizona is, you expect this, right? They're never out until they're out. As Pepe is trying to work up front, kind of scampering back to a safe position. Is going to get Stara with the hammer ready, traded back out by the brush here. Oh my gosh, and the whale is going to continue the advantage state for Arizona as it's looking like it could be a lead for them.
Absolutely, a couple more points to go, but immediately you are going to see some of these players on the side of H-Town Splash to try to push on it, but oh no! 3 players have gone down with their last stuck on that right side. There is that lead swap you were just mentioning, and now it's going to be Texas on this back end, looking to try to find some kind of opportunity to go in, but once again, 3 players down. This could be game 1.
That is going to be it for Arizona, as it seemed like once they got settled in Cactus, they were just winning every fight. And I mean, one thing that I want to speak on from that game, as we're just starting out, look at the great bubble usage from either side. It seems like both teams are being led by strong support here in the early going.
Absolutely, and it's not every day you do see these bubble users kind of appearing in these kind of level of tournaments, right? But it's amazing to see the use they were able to get out of that special. Open up a lot more space for your front lines or your mid lines or your back lines to kind of move on in, get a little bit more space, and ideally, while you're having the rest of the enemy team try to get rid of that bubble, shred it as fast as they can, you're looking to throw a lot of your bombs in the way. You're looking to see if you can get any more cheeky picks or use that opportunity to paint up much of the map so you can get more specials to follow through and a kind of chain reaction effect to try to take back that zone.
So we spoke a little bit at the start about how all 8 of these teams, there's no slouches, they're all champions, right? However, not every LAN is necessarily created equal. Now, when you talk about having players on your roster who are able to regularly podium or win weeklies, Cactus, only one of these 2 teams has those kinds of players. And I mean, I'm thinking of Shiny, I'm thinking of these members from Healthy Diet Food Groups. I think that Prickly Pear may be on another level, and the onus is gonna be on Texas to try and catch up to them.
Oh, absolutely. You're right about that. And they're not the only team as well that's competing in this event that has players like that. I mean, you are seeing a lot of players that have won these events in their respective states have a pretty dominant appearance online in those online events, online tournaments that you see frequently. Now, of course, players on Prickly Pear, such as Shiny and Pepe, have made their rounds to multiple different events. I do believe they've made their way over to Sea Battle. A year or so ago, they had made their way, I do believe, over to Gridlock, a pretty much regional from the Metroing staff who usually host Big Dapple. I mean, these are the two players on that team that are very strong and constantly looking for opportunities to compete. And yeah, I mean, they do kind of have that upper hand of having so much time put in playing with each other, unlike that we may have seen from the side of H-Town Splashdown. Siku got kicked out.
Yeah, on the other hand, though, if you're looking at H-Town Splashdown, like we were saying, you can't be a bad player if you've won a LAN tournament. These are all terrific players on paper. And the other thing that's kind of in their favor, Cactus, is Splatoon is nothing if not a rotating matter of who's sitting on the throne, right? And these players like Guwapa, Tormy, I remember a year and a half, 2 years ago, these players were in FTIU. So they've been doing nothing, Cactus, but getting better. And it's situations like this, it's pressure cookers like this, where teams can and will show up. So that this set ain't over, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. They're going to have a little bit of a mountain to climb, but they have been constantly improving for a moment just like this, so that they are able to hopefully push on forward and maybe take a game and tie up the score. We're going to look at these comps. We are going to see nothing really changing from either side, except on the side of Arizona, bringing out the Carbon Roller Deco.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick, and I kind of like it with how fast Rainmaker moves. As you're seeing Eevee already getting a lovely double that's going to practically confirm an early check for Arizona.
That's right, and immediately followed by another pick. Great job with the Zuka. They are on fire right now, assisting one other pick. Cooler is popped, Whale is followed by it, and all of a sudden now you see it, Texas in shambles, trying to find their footing here to push on back and stop this Rainmaker from going any more forward. You will have a player from behind popping that hammer. You will see a bubble be coming out as well, and this will be so far hopefully the stop that Siku got kicked out is looking for.
Yeah, I actually really love that wiper play there, because as you saw, Pepe had to use their Zuka just to try and get the wiper out and couldn't help the rain, so that stopped them at 41 there. And now, oh my gosh, despite not having a lot of mid, Siku's going to be moving towards that right side. Zuka coming out, Wounds kind of stuck in the corner here with this rain, as Texas is getting collapsed upon, but they left the check open, and oh, they were barely able to get it, Cactus. That's huge.
Absolutely. Oh, but look at this. Hold on. Numbers advantage. Something happened in mid where most of those players for Prickly Pear went down. They barely hold that on, but they are able to get a lead swap. 3 players go down for it. The last will be welled on out and try to get pushed away, but they can't make it out in time. Incredible play from the Bamboo player. And now it's going to be Prickly Pear a little bit on this back foot here to try to push on forward and hopefully get that lead back.
Nara on the wiper has been the MVP, and they're going to get the Rainmaker there as well so far for Texas, keeping them in this game as Eevee's kind of pinned in the corner, is trying to make something out of nothing here as they're trying to scamper around on that Carbon Roller is going to get called out here, and oh my goodness, this is looking way closer than game one.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a dangerous territory. But the one thing about Rainmaker Humpback is it is not over until the tape is on the line. One of these teams could push to 1. But it is still an opportunity, especially on this map mode combination, for things to steamroll the other way and potentially bring it to a knockout. And right now, speaking of knockout, H-Town Splashdown representatives here are trying to push this Rainmaker forward and hopefully get closer to that knockout as they can. Down to 28, and the numbers advantage. Oh no! Behind his funky Eevee, Rainmaker goes!
Oh my gosh, Cactus, that was insane. They were able to get it all the way down to 19, but that's going to be their push for now. Do you think that is enough for them to win? I mean, like you were saying before, I don't think so, since this is so flip-floppy. As we see all the members loading in on this right side, Guwapa is trying to get in on the rain. It's going to drop for a flank here, which is the same mistake that was made before, leaving the rain a path forward from Shiny. Is trying to work through this blue ink here on the side, too. 3 members from Texas will go down, avoiding the bomb and trying to get the lead. Can't quite, stopped 4 points short, but Arizona still has numbers.
That they do, and with those numbers, it's gonna follow with a lead and then some. And are they hitting 4 points away from that knockout? They are trying their best to stop this Rainmaker. You do see Eevee sharking in that corner, but they do get spotted out, barely staying alive, narrowly making it on out, and it will be Siku got kicked out, trying to drop that Rainmaker down. A push to 4 can be winnable, but it's just gonna have to wait another minute and 20 to find out.
Only star is left here is trying to make use of that hammer, but no heroics this time as Arizona is setting up for their final minute lockout here. Now, like you said, you still want to be pushing it because you never know how many points is going to be enough here. Shiny has an eye on Tormy along the side there. As 3 more members go down, that's another fight win for Arizona as they are again in Texas's base here, just trying to make something happen, just trying to hold this Rainmaker here.
Trying to hold it and pushing it on forward. Maybe for some points, the stall game is real. We're going to see 3 players go down on the side of Arizona. Make that a technically delayed wipeout as the 4th has to jump out. A lot of paint of orange in mid, but we are going to see Whoop go on forward on that right side to try to claim that elbow. Tormy with a nice double, opening up the potential here. They do have 2 specials to work with. Oh no, Zuka takes them out. Great save from Pepe. 25 seconds left to try to get this lead.
Yeah, that hammer pick was really unfortunate. And another nice pick by Blopward to try and get huge advantage here in the final seconds for Arizona. The whale is ready. Guwapa setting up that bubble for a pick on the right-hand side, but Arizona will go 2 down, and now it's going to be Texas crashing in. 1 goes down to the whale. 1 member will grab the Rainmaker and get picked. So now Texas has 1 more shot here in the final seconds. It's going to be overtime. They've got to get this pop really quickly. They will grab with the hammer. They're going to be taking their time here because they can't make a single mistake, but they don't have numbers anymore, and Prickly Pear is going to take the 2-0 lead.
What a great final blow from Pepe with Izuka saving that game at the end there. That could have been really dangerous for Prickly Pear, but survive they will in another very, very close game. 2-0 right now in this set. They are at a match point from winning this set and moving on.
Hey, but like we've been saying, it ain't over till it's over, especially since this tournament is double elimination. So you just never know how this thing is going to turn out. But, I mean, Cactus, you got to think that putting Eevee on that carbon roller was the difference maker.
It really was. It allowed them to be a lot more aggressive. It allowed for a lot more of those really clutch plays for Eevee to pull off, especially being able to just kind of go in, get the lead with their teammates, and keep going on forward. As you're seeing some of these replays, I mean, just overall, the 4 players on Prickly Pear working so well together, viewing what they can to keep things in their favor. And Siku got kicked out, gave a great challenge against it, especially being able to always find an opportunity to take down that carbon when needed, but just not enough for them. But it's not over. Like you said, this could be the potential start of a reverse sweep for Texas, hopefully giving it a harder matchup for Arizona.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, on the other hand, if you're thinking a lot of these teams who were LAN champions have not dropped a game yet, Prickly Pear being one of them. If you stretch back to their performance in Sunset Surge, they have not lost a game yet in the LCS. I believe there's something wild like 19-0. So at some point, if you're Houston, you're thinking, man, not only do we want to win the set, we want to prove that these guys can bleed. Now, Cactus, what is the best way to do that on Clams Umami, where H-Town, Splashtown are Houston reps? They looked so much better in game 2.
It's definitely going to be the capability of really enhancing those 2v1 scenarios, right? You're going to want to be able to take down the aggressors, which right now is definitely seeming like it's Funky Eevee and Pepe. Those 2 players are really able to have the mechanical skill to get those picks needed for Funky Eevee, regardless of what weapon they're playing. So far, we've seen them play Decap. We've seen them play Carbon. For all we know, there's a 3rd weapon in that mix that we may see them bring out here, but either of those 2 first weapon picks are huge. It's going to be strong for Siku got kicked out in order to find those key picks and be able to play around Shiny, of course, with the range on pencil. Shiny is not only just paint botting for you. Shiny is mechanically gifted with that pencil, getting those picks we've seen before. Same with Blop, where it's just a lot of range, close and far. That's what Siku got kicked out needs to start doing. Find those key picks, take them on together, and hopefully you're able to take a game here.
We see the return of the carbon roller from Eevee. On the other side, it looks as though no changes as we are going to get loaded up here for Clamblitz Umami. This is match point for Prickly Pear in round number 1. Let's see if they can do it.
Absolutely, a lot. Right away, I do love Siku got kicked out, putting a lot of paint pressure here in the front. They do get down Eevee, and they do get down Blobware. That is a 2-player advantage that they do have here. Now, we also see Pepe try to get a nice pick with the Zuko, but they can take it down immediately. This is exactly what I was talking about. Find those openings, get those key picks, and you could have a landslide in the Awakening for you. And look at these clams slowly being fed in as they do still have a one special to their name.
Yeah, really nice defensive work by Shiny there to get the double to allow Pepe to roll in here, and Woomph is able to get one. Now it's just Stara whose hammers can be picked, but Cactus, they were able to get below 60, which is what many people consider to be a good marker of a good first game.
Oh, definitely, especially on a map like this, where all you have to do is take advantage of those clam spawns and make sure you're collecting a lot of what's coming for you. Right away, we're going to see Star on this left side trying to be a little bit of a menace with that Wiper, but unfortunately Eevee will take them out. Shiny gets a nice pick on one more as well, representing that heavy edit there. Pepe now continue with one pick, looking for another with that Zuka, and will get it! Just barely on that edge there. Pepe running into the spawn to hold a lot of great angles, and this might be the collapse of the score, leading for Prickly Pear's advantage. They just need one more, a Wipeout to follow suit. This is going to be a lot more than just one clam lead.
Oh, you bet. And I love how Eevee's rotating back to get some more clams for the squad, knowing that the fights are already taken care of up front. And look at the sustainability numbers again, going back to Prickly Pear, as Eevee almost has a whole nother ball here. Pepe will go down, but 3 more. Another fight win for Arizona is going to give them a chance. Oh my gosh, to end this game right here, right now, if they can get 3 more clams in. You see folks are coming back with it. Flopware's coming back. Pepe's going to throw in the ball, and Prickly Pear Arizona has instead kicked out Siku in round 1.
I mean, that was just grade A level work from Prickly Pear, and the worst scenario I think that really put Siku got kicked out down was the early wipeout. After that first initial score, the last thing you want is to go all 4 players down and open up so much map opportunity. And Prickly Pear, once they saw it, they ran with it. I mean, and they just showed you textbook level of work, the positioning, the player coordination. I mean, that was truly in their favor once that wipeout appeared on the screen for the first time.
Yeah, I think one thing that we were noticing as that set was going on was that in Games 2 and Games 3, Siku got kicked out, would get some really nice leads, but because their comp was so conducive to fighting, was I think once they had those leads, they weren't playing neutral quite as much as they should, and they're still going for these super big fights. And in that case, you kind of just want to be trading unless you have a really good opportunity when you have that lead, but they just kept diving into these fights, losing these big team fights, and they were kind of letting Arizona get back into the game.
Yeah, there were a couple moments while Arizona was scoring that they had some good, I don't want to say player advantage, but player spacement between themselves and Arizona, being able to try to stall out that basket soaring. But unfortunately, they still had that whale ready. And when we saw them pop that, you had 2 players getting kind of attacked by that whale special on that top right area that most backlanes like to sit on into defensive holds. And that really allowed for Prickly Pear to take advantage of splitting up. Siku got kicked out as the team in a 2v2 scenario, and ultimately just constant pressure, waiting for one player to slip up. That's exactly what happened there. And Prickly Pear, I mean, you said it before, you know, they have a ridiculous win streak. I was able to find it for you. 17-0, 3 more wins in a row to their name. They are leading with a 20-0 win record.
Oh yeah, you love to see it here. As here's the key moment, right? Is that when you've got this setup going, one of your slayers knows that it's their job to go back and get the clams just because they were closest to the backfield, right, Cactus? That is the kind of unselfish play that causes you to be a champion and gets you these LAN wins.
Absolutely, and it takes a lot for a front line to recognize that they are the player that needs to grab those clams, whether they're the first to score the power clam, whether they're the last to come on in, whether they have to jump in or swim back in. It's being capable of taking that or making that decision to say, hey, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to fall back. I'll get these clams, keep holding pressure. I'll toss them up and go get more, or I'll just jump on in. And that's what we saw at the end there. 3 of those players from Prickly Pear grabbing an enormous amount of clams. Pepe with the power clam, and 2 others was a handful of others. And they played that very beautifully.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? Is if you want to succeed at clams, if you want to get those 100 at 0 pushes, you have to be playing as a team. And Prickly Pear did that perfectly. However, this tournament is double elimination, as we've said. So while Siku got kicked out of winners, they have not been kicked out of the tournament. And these players are capable of making a run. Cactus, when they were playing in H-Town Splashtown, first of all, these guys, it must be said, are back-to-back H-Town Splashtown champions. They've won this tournament twice in a row. And I mean, in the most recent one, really in both of them, they took down Mickey Mart. And those guys ain't no slouches either. So I think Siku has it in them to string some wins together. Just a tough round 1 for him.
Absolutely, but you know what? Tough round 1, but they made it they made the best of it. And we saw a lot of close games. A decently close game 1 ultimately fell too close to a lockout. But game 2 was where things got treacherous for Prickly Pear. That's where Siku got kicked out, showed a fighting chance. Unfortunately, game 3, great burst energy start in the beginning. Unfortunately, a little bit of a tumble towards the end. But as you said, Silver King, this is a double elimination. Siku got kicked out. Should not be looking at this as a one and done. There's plenty of chances to bring this back in going forward.
Yeah, and taking a look at our bracket here, My Little Henlo, our number 1 seed, is predictably up in their first round set. However, Octopodes has managed to take a game off of them, so that one's going to at least game 4. On the bottom end of this bracket, we see Glub Glub from Big Dapple has a pretty decisive 2-0 lead as of now over Sea Bubble. The loser of that one would go down to play against Siku got kicked out, so they are presumably going to be facing Sea Battle's team unless they've got some tricks up their sleeve, Cactus. Now, going into this one, do you have any personal favorites? What's your prediction for how this is going to shake out?
If I'm going off of personal favorites, I'd love to see Glub Glub make it all the way. And I'm actually very excited for the matchup if Glub Glub finds a way to take this through with that 1 extra win they need. Unless, like you said, Sea Bubble has some tricks that they want to try to reverse this around. Because, lo and behold, not only does Sunset Surge have a little bit of beef with Texas, they've said a couple words over to us on the East Coast. We've had our fair share of rivalries, West Coast, Best Coast, or East Coast GOATs, who will be able to win that matchup. So I'm really excited to see that play out. But as predictions of what I feel about all these players combined, I mean, My Little Henlo, seed 1 for a reason. I've constantly seen those players around, not only in these locals and lands, but online repeatedly. They have probably, out of this group of 8 teams, the most online presence of playing together, and not only just in online tournaments, but even in scrims. I mean, they are all over. They have a lot of great talent, so I would not be surprised if we just see a nice win streak from there. But who knows? Octopodes from Chai Shoals taking 1 game is looking a little bit dangerous for My Little Henlo. But that's from my thoughts. What about you, Sofa King?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, Big Dapple, I think Big Dapple and Chai Shoals are the only ones of these that I have been able to go to, so I am a big fan of any team that's coming out of Big Dapple. On the flip side there, that first winner semifinal match in the top slots of the bracket, that is what we are going to be casting next, so we're kind of yapping until that one is ready for you. But My Little Henlo, I mean, I think it's stunning that they dropped a game in round 1, Cactus, because this is another team that went undefeated at their LAN. And I mean, I watched Gatorland live. It wasn't close. Henlo, Lexi, Splat, and Datman were just roaring through that LAN. And to see them drop a game in round 1, that really speaks to what Octopodes was able to do to them in that set. I'm excited to watch it back.
Absolutely. And something that I feel maybe gave them a little bit of an upper hand is Octopodes' comp. Now, for those who maybe don't know, they are running quite the interesting comp. I had the privilege of being able to see it in person. They run a double Tetra Bamboo comp. And that is something so rare to see in general. Maybe even rare to see in your X or Open Rank games, unless you're purposely playing it. It's something that's so unique that has a lot of potential to throw a lot of players off, especially if they're fighting against what they're not really used to playing it with, which is usually some type of double midline with a cooler and support. I mean, this has the potential for pretty much a lot of aggression from different types of weapons with different styles. So I would not be surprised if that really is what gave My Little Henlo the trouble. Is just such a unique comp.
Breaking news, you do see there that My Little Henlo was able to dispatch the Chai Shoals rep in 4 games, so we will see them next up on this stream. So while we are waiting to see who their opponent may be, as Octopodes will go down into the losers bracket there, let's just chat a little bit about these players, because I really liked what you said about them being like consistent presences online. We saw a little bit of that with Prickly Pear, right? Where you've got some players on that roster who are podiuming and winning these matches, or these weeklies, like SOS, like paddling, this kind of stuff. But on My Little Henlo, they're all doing it pretty much I mean, when they click the sign up button on Sendu, you know that they're virtually a lock for podium, if not the number 1.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. These players have been around for quite a long time, and they have been able to have consistency, not just with placements, but with each other. They understand how each other play, the types of comps they want to run. I'm sure they've probably been playing a comp that they've practiced well before this LAN Championship Showdown was even announced. That's just kind of the longevity they've been around when it comes to these online events, and being able to kind of form that pickup together and bring that to in-person events, and now once again to an online event like this. I mean, I can imagine how stoked they must feel that something that they do constantly online was able to be brought in person and back once again.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the reason why we all love LANs, right? Is the game is taken to another level when you can be sitting next to your teammates, when you can talk to them after the set, when you can go do fun stuff that doesn't have to do with Splatoon, which kind of lets your brain, build that extra level of community that just isn't happening when you're, sitting in your living room or your bedroom or whatever, just kind of chatting by yourself. Not to say that that's not great either. But speaking more on My Little Henlo, one thing that I'd like to note, if you've been watching our Blue Sky posts, are kind of like little bios of each team, we could be headed for another rivalry matchup, Cactus, as it seems like these folks from Florida, these folks from My Little Henlo, they want Helix's team, No Boys Allowed, from Booyah Bay, as that set is now tied 1-1.
Oh yeah, they put in their little description that that's who they're looking forward to the most at fighting. However, Z-tier players has a lot of great talent themselves, so I'm honestly not too surprised that they have tied up that score. And funnily enough, they are right next to each other on the seeding. No Boys Allowed seed number 4, Z-tier players seed number 5. So that is going to be a fiery set that honestly I would not be surprised if we were to make its way to a game 5. Speaking of making their way to game 5s, on the bottom end of your bracket, Glub loses a game to Sea Bubble. It is a 2-1 score, potential reverse opportunity for Sea Battle.
Yeah, I kind of love that. And one thing that I love about Sea Bubble going into this tournament is because we were mentioning that a lot of the members of Prickly Pear also won Sea Battle. So Sea Bubble, you got to be thinking that, they might be going into this tournament thinking, oh, we might be the odd ones out. We didn't technically win Sea Battle. We came in second place. But these players showing up and showing that they deserve to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who maybe weren't aware of the qualifications for this event, you were only able to compete with the team of the first event you win with. We've had a situation with that, with a player named Storm, who was actually playing with Z-tier players for New Inkland, had previously been on Glub and won Big Dapple, but they chose to have the opportunity to play with some of their friends over on the Z-tier player squad, and still took home a victory. So yeah, a lot of these players that you're seeing right now, maybe not, although not a lot of them, have actually won 2 locals for this qualifier. I mean, it's truly incredible.
Yeah, that's just proof that if you're the best, and if you got a plane ticket, you're probably not winning just one of these things. So that is exciting for some of these members who kind of get to choose which team they want to be a part of here. But Cactus, let's talk a little bit more in depth about what attending these LANs is like. Because I think for a lot of people in chat, maybe you're watching this to kind of like get into the Splatoon scene, to maybe think, hey, are LANs something that I want to go to? Now, you were speaking a little bit about some of these that you went to. What is one of your favorite memories going to Big Dabble?
One of my favorite memories has to probably be the 4th or 5th Big Dapple I went to, where I was able to, not only myself, place second and have a chance at fighting the team that has won it. Funny enough, one of the players that is competing today on Glove Glove, Moonlight's very own Nolan. It's a surreal type of vibe and energy you get. I totally understand from being able to get that far, the kind of energy that you feel in those rooms when you're competing and playing in front of so many people. That's why I see those major events like the LTCs, the Riptides, you name it, many more events coming this year. The type of energy that they're trying to bring to the table, and not only with their skill, but in person, right? You gotta have that control as well from the loudness that those groups and the crowds can really be. But returning back to your question, I just love the energy that's brought in, and just that feeling of, wow, like I'm here in person playing a game that I love in front of so many people cheering us on or booing us on, whichever it is. Obviously, there's going to be sub favorites in the crowds, but it is an unbelievable experience nonetheless. And even besides competing, from just a spectator standpoint, I mean, there's so much fun to witness, so many people to talk to, and just a great event to enjoy overall.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're sitting in chat and you've never been to a LAN, or if you've never even been in competitive Splatoon and you're trying to, feel it out, and maybe that's something you want to do, what I have to clarify, or what we both, I think, would probably agree on, is that, sure, there's big tournaments like MomoCon and like Riptide that are these majors, but those can be expensive to go to. And I'm noting somebody in our chat here who's saying, go support your nearest LAN. Folks, if you can't go to the major, that doesn't matter. Support your locals, because those TOs usually, I mean, they're doing this for the love of the game. They're doing probably a lot of work on their own. The way that we grow this scene, which this event is hopefully showing all of you, is that if we grow our locals, rising tide lifts all ships, you're going to get crazy stuff like this coming out of it.
Absolutely, Soviking. You're absolutely right. And this has led for the opportunity for many other locals to start peering around the country as well. The one that I can note off the top of my head is Twin Squiddies. They are a local that has been popping up and having consistent runs lately. And soon, who knows where this is going to go in the future, right? Maybe before we'll have another LAN Championship Showdown. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more LANs and more qualifiers for returning events that are freshly starting to pop up. Yeah, support your locals. Go show them your support. See what the scene is like in your own state, because you never know. You could find a lot new friends, some new teammates, and long-lasting memories.
We've got a small update on the bracket here for you, folks. Glove was able to take their set in a 3-1 victory over Sea Bubble. So thus far, 3 out of the 4 sets are not sweeps. So a lot of competitive sets here in the early going on, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it's going to be SplatoonTourney 1 that will be airing, Prickly Pear v Glove. Meanwhile, Siku got kicked out, will be facing off against Sea Bubble. And on the other end here, No Boys Allowed, the Booyah Base squad has just taken a 2-1 lead over Z-tier players.
Wow, I can only imagine how stressful those kind of matches can feel across the board here. It's kind of interesting to see that the only team to have not dropped a game so far is Prickly Pears. I mean, wow, a 3-0 for them, but every other match so far has led so far to a 3-1. Will No Boys Allowed be able to clutch that up, or are we potentially going to see the first Game 5 of tonight's matches?
That would be hype. I mean, hey, If you're asking me, I would love it if every single one of these sets were Game 5, just because of the clutch factor, the excitement that's inherent in that. That would just be so cool to see. But kind of like going back to our previous topic on LANs, I feel like I had more to say, but it's like completely leaving my brain right now. But either way, I mean, make an effort to, even if it's like, you know, you may be thinking, oh, well, I prefer playing online. I prefer, you know, I don't necessarily want to put myself out there. Let me tell you, as somebody who's had that thought before, these Splatoon LANs, when you're going here, it's like you're walking into a room of people who all have the same interest, right? Like, it's not like you're going to family dinner, Thanksgiving, and you have to tell grandma. She's like, oh, what are you up to lately? And you're like, oh, I'm playing a video game. And she's like, that's nice, honey. Everybody here gets it when you go to one of these LANs, and there's really nothing more precious.
No, 100%. I agree with you, Sofa King. This is one of those opportunities to be in an environment with players that have the same interest, same purpose that you do. And mind you, you don't even have to compete at these locals. You could just show up and enjoy the venue space, sit in the crowd, watch some of these games, not only just on the big screens that are set up with their stages at these locals, but also just the players around at their PlayStations, right? Not the PlayStation, but the stations they play at. You're going to be able to kind of walk around and see a lot of first-hand perspective on the comms that these players have, right? What they're saying to each other. How, honestly, my favorite thing I love seeing is how players hold a controller, because so many different people have different ways like to hold their controller in their hands to play this game, with or without the motion control, but 90% of the time it is with the motion controls. And you also get the opportunity to make great communication and conversation with people there. I still never forget one of the first times I went to Big Dapple. I had a couple players come up to me throughout the day and just talk. All we did was talk about the game itself, what we're excited for, what we're looking forward to in the event, what so far we liked. I mean, everyone in this community is so friendly, and LANs is the best way to experience it, local or major. And it's honestly, that's probably some of the best reasons to go.
Oh, I agree with you completely. And it must be said, if the folks who are streaming this are okay with a little self-plug, that the staff of SplatoonTourney is really the glue that brings this all together, right? Now, if you're already running locals and you're thinking of being involved, I mean, you can speak on this too. You just had a podcast with Saf the other day, really about all the work that goes into these things and really all the love and care that these volunteers are putting into these events.
Yeah, that was honestly a huge shout out to Saf for coming on to my podcast to be able to discuss today's event. We actually had that podcast yesterday, and we were able to talk about not just this event overall, but what it's like as a TO to host these events. And the biggest thing that I really took away when I was speaking with Saf, one of the many things, is the feedback forms. A lot of these TOs really do appreciate those forms that they might ping you for in their Discord servers, saying, hey, any feedback is great feedback, and it's so true. Positive or negative, things that you would love to see change for the better, or things that just need to be fixed. It's something that they will always take account for. And something that's really rare to see in these locals and majors is kind of that line of connection that you're going to have with those TOs. Because a lot of times you fill out those forms, it gets sent away, and you're never going to really see or hear what happens to your message again. However, at these locals, they can have that transparency of being able to make an announcement or let you know, like, hey, you said, you know, XYZ about this. We thank you so much for that. Here's why we didn't do it at first, but here's how we're going to look to changing that for the future. And it's so rare to get that from events in the Splatoon community that we've had in the past, since most of those in person mainly were majors. You had those massive events that, like you mentioned before, Sofa King, are quite the pretty penny, quite the flight and travel expense that you have to take. But this, being able to maybe be a drive or a train ride away to a local, it allows for great community buildup and allows for great communication.
Yeah, I mean, we all might be shaking our fists and raging at certain companies' video game pricing for upcoming consoles. But like you were saying about transparency, these local LANs, completely different story. You can talk directly to the people who are organizing these things. And I mean, they have a direct desire to do what the players want so that you keep coming back. It's kind of different, and it's way more personable than some of these other events. So I mean, we can't espouse enough that you should be going to these things if it's at all possible, because it's a blast, and the more the merrier.
Yep, the more people that show up, the more opportunity it really has for these locals to grow more and more. I could speak from personal experience with the Metro Ring staff that hosts Big Dapple. I mean, they've been able to host the quote-unquote regional. They have Gridlock, which is a 2-day event, and they have to start thinking of ways for a bigger venue because of just how many teams show up. And speaking of teams showing up, Z-tier players showed up and popped out, tying the score against No Boys Allowed. Sofa King, we're seeing our first Game 5 of this event.
Yeah, I love that, and I do not blame anybody at all if they're not on our channel and are instead watching wherever that is being broadcast. But we're going to continue to yap to you, because rest assured that whoever wins that one is coming right to us very shortly. I mean, we've been talking about these two groups of players. Now, on paper, the No Boys Allowed, our California reps, are going to be seeded one higher, Cactus. But who do you think is going to win the 5th game?
It's going to be interesting to see, because so far that set has gone back and forth. No Boys Allowed with Game 1, Z-tier players tying it up. Game 3, No Boys Allowed once again, Z-tier players challenging it one more time, bringing them to a Game 5. If the pattern stays consistent, No Boys Allowed will most likely squeeze it through. But, I mean, with Z-tier players being able to bring 2 games back, and I can only imagine how close those other 2 games had to have been, I mean, I would just love to see maybe the upset of it and Z-tier players take it home. I mean, but that's also the East Coast in me. One and more East Coast rep on the board. Sorry, West Coast.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're getting a little bit of East Coast with Florida either way, but I'm with you that it'd be cool to see East Coast v East Coast with Florida and Boston. But on the other hand, I mean, No Boys Allowed is a pretty stacked team. That being said, that would kind of speak to the magnitude of what this upset would be if Z-tier players is able to take them down. I think it would be, you know, not to say that it would never happen in any universe, but that's a pretty great way to start round 1 of your LAN Championships here, Showdown.
Yeah, if not in a sweep and not in a 2-game differential, just definitely being able to take down a higher seed or a higher competition, especially because, again, these teams, most of these players know each other. If they don't, they know at least someone's the name that they're going against that they've seen around in many online matches and tournaments, or just those in-person posts or in-person events that they post on those Blue Sky accounts, just really shouting out the winners of those events, besides the qualifiers, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, we are going to be getting started relatively shortly here, as they are midway in Game 5. I'm curious if we have this. We may not have the graphic for this quite yet, but just to get a head start on looking at the map list for round 2, I'm almost certain that it starts with zones on Umami, which we already have seen Umami before. But Cactus, how thrilled are we that tournaments have now begun to regularly adopt zones on Game 1 always?
It's very nice to see, especially because of the back and forth consistency that you can have with that mode. For those who maybe aren't fully aware of how those other modes like Clam Blitz, Tower Control, or Rainmaker really work, is that those are very easy to have a quick landslide victory. Where something like zones, whether it's a map that has a 1 or split 2 zone section of the game, you're looking at a lot of opportunity to kind of break back in from your spawning grounds and challenge back in mid in order to bring those games back. It's also some of the longest running matches that you'll have. You'll see a lot of times the zones games are the ones that have the longest overtime. Not only are you building up those penalty points to secure, but those real points. And while maybe you have a no one scores, an extra 4-minute overtime on Clam Blitz, the zones, for me, is going to beat it out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you completely, because the thing that zones does well, that a lot of these other modes outside of maybe Clam Blitz doesn't do as much, is that in order to win zones, you have to be able to win multiple team fights in a row, as we are just now seeing, folks, that C-tier players just took the set win in Game 5 over Booyah Bay. Cactus, holy smokes.
Wow, I mean, talk about pulling out all the stops. No Boys Allowed seem to be a very treacherous team in these waters, but these are players from New England, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure they were one of the last remaining locals that recently had their qualifying event a little bit earlier this month to show up right away and take that full Game 5 win for an opportunity to go against My Little Henlo. I mean, those players got to be feeling really, really good there about that set. And for No Boys Allowed, now, if you were their fans, don't worry, it's not over yet. They still have a losers bracket run against Octopodes down below, as you do see on the screen for the bracket. And it's certainly going to be an entertaining match, regardless of the game you're watching.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the great thing about this event in particular, Cactus, that we've probably said too many times already, is that all of these teams are so talented to the point where normally when you're entering a double elim tournament, you can kind of predict how the first round is going to go. So then when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, well, these teams are going to be out pretty much immediately in 0-2 or 0-4 their way out of the tournament. But in this one, a team like Booyah Bay's reps, No Boys Allowed, getting out in the first round, this is a team that could make a loser's run and come back and win the whole dang thing.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Those are players that have so much drive and so much talent that they have brought to the table on and off the LAN modes and on the internet matches, that this is a type of losers run that they're totally capable of bringing. And if I do check on over their record that they actually previously had at some of these other events, I mean, Nobody's Allowed previously, they went 17-3, only dropping 3 games at their qualifier. So adding a little bit more to the table for them there. Future players, winning that Game 5 honestly was really good for them. Now their record originally was 13-0, now looking at a solid 16-2. Both of these teams want to start picking up that traction and winning more of those games to keep improving that